Hi, sweet ones. How you doing? Are you feeling the grace? Okay, so to put these energies into an easy context, because so many of you are experiencing the return of an ex, if you will. Sweet ones, these energies, really what they're asking you to do is, let's take the spiritual aspect out of it. Let's take this total solar eclipse out of it. Let's take all of that out of it for a minute. And look at the human aspect side of this, if you will. Collectively, we all have the same goal. So let's take the collective out of it for a minute. How you doing, sweethearts? What is it that your heart desires? All of humanity wants peace, harmony, abundance, joy, love, yada, 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 right? Okay. So what does Adela want? What does Moonlight Love want? What does Shell want? What does Mary want? What does Michelle want? Big hugs and blessings, sweethearts. I love you. So really what everything that's coming up, right? You look at everything coming up to be released. And you take away the emotional underlying everything to it. And you really just look at it from the human aspect, the physical, not a healing aspect, nothing. Just take all of that out of it for a second, right? How you doing, Shannon? Big hugs and blessings, beautiful. And step back and observe and look at all of your relationships. You look at your life. You look at what, through your experiences of what is in the past, okay? What are your deal breakers in a relationship of any kind? I'm not talking just a romantic one, but especially your intimate ones. What is a deal breaker for you? Is it you individually need for your own peace of mind and happiness and joy? Is it, do you need and want and desire, say, somebody that can communicate with you? Not just, what is it that you specifically need out of your relationships? Whether that is a romantic partnership, or whether that is in your friendships, in your work relationships. What is it that you need? What are not only are your boundaries, sweet ones, but what are the deal breakers? And really, if you can look at everything that is coming up right now, it's showing you what your deal breakers are. What is no longer acceptable for you. So, yes, these energies are affecting the collective, but Spirit is also asking you, because this reset, this reboot coming up, if you will. This isn't, our individual dreams are the collective dream, if you will. So instead of focusing on the collective dream, because the collective dream is all the same. Right now, to follow your passion, because your passion is not the same as Phoenix's, it's not the same as Lizette's, it's not the same as mine, it's not the same of the girl next door. The collective is, yes. So look at everything that's coming up for you. Showing you everything that you have put aside, that you have healed, and everything else. If you look at it from the physical aspect of it, what is it that your heart desires? Truly. And if you can sit there and you can write down and you can pinpoint. Okay, we all know we all want peace, joy, love, happiness, and abundance. So discard those top 5 things. Okay? And you can really write down, and I'm not going to say do it pros and cons or acceptable and unacceptable. Really define you. Get down to the nitty gritty. Because right now, you're at a smorgasbord, sweet ones, and you're choosing, you're cosmic ordering what your new reality wants to be come this reset, reboot at the total solar eclipse. So yes, you have to be aware, you have to observe what's being presented and coming up and arising, but let's take a spin on this, if you will. And this will help you release a lot of this that's coming up, especially these past boyfriends and girlfriends and stuff that all of a sudden are presenting themselves, giving you that choice point. But if you look at what is being returned in these past relationships, how you doing, Elizabeth, Nikki, Jamie? Big hugs and blessings, sweet ones. You're aware that this is a choice point. So, and you're aware that if you go within, because I hinted at that earlier, if you go within, your spirit will validate for you that these people coming back from past relationships is not for your highest good. But you have to validate that within yourself. I just hinted at it. And so, let's step back and let's really look at this. So they're coming back, and this is that relationship and your family relationships that you're dealing with right now. This is the back and forth, if you will. And this is showing you, if you really observe, especially this past one coming back, I've changed. How much have you sacrificed in that particular relationship? Because so many of you are dealing with somebody coming back right now. And that's what I mean by what are the deal breakers. If you observe that relationship that was a ping pong, that unrequited love that became so unconditional and became conditional, if you look at it, you will find what are your deal breakers. What is it in those things that are presenting themselves through your family and through this one relationship that's now coming back from the past? This is showing you your deal breakers and where you're giving your power away. And when you can observe from this aspect lens now, sweet ones, you're really going to find the true core of your true nature and your true self, of really what your soul desire is. If you can look, instead of looking at it what you want and what you need, and look at it from another lens of perspective, as this is showing me what is no longer for my highest good. This is a deal breaker. And if you can identify your deal breakers, not just your boundaries, but the absolute deal breaker in your relationships, you will see a whole nother unseen realm of things, if you will, for you. A whole nother layer of deeper clarity, if you will. So, as these things are coming up, and as you're being triggered by these, this, what's being presented, really observe it. Try and expand your eyesight, sweet ones, and look at the simplified, expanded picture, if you will, because it's showing you what your deal breakers are and what you have to leave behind. Because even if it seems hard to the human aspect side of us, you're tired and you're exhausted and you really truly just want to be done with the clearing and the healing and the transforming of the distortions. Which, it's a never-ending thing, but it does get more graceful, and that's really what you want. You want to be done where you move into that graceful, easeful gentleness. It comes up, you just deal with it. And it's, it's not traumatic. It's not a whole bunch of emotions and yada, 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 if you will. And if you can look at this from an expanded, simplified vision, if you will, and see the deal breakers that it's showing you. One of the biggest things in Mark and my relationship, and for those of you who are new, Mark is my ex-fiance. I use him. He was a huge catalyst in my spiritual awakening, and that's why I refer to him, because I learned a lot of lessons about myself, a lot of my darkness. He was the perfect mirror for me. And anyways, one of my biggest things with him was lack of communication. I'm one of these people that I need communication. You know, and I'm not, you know, silence is golden. However, in my intimate relationships, I'm one of these that need that communication. And for me, a deal breaker, because Mark, just so you guys know, he returned a couple nights ago too. You guys aren't the only ones having a return visit. But it's showing you a choice point. And so, you know, I had to sit there when Mark came back, and it's like, alright, what's the hidden here? And so, I'm looking, and at 1:44 this afternoon, and the thought pops into my head, deal breakers. Go do a live on deal breakers. And I waited until the clock said 1:55, not realizing it. I had waited 10 minutes, but that's when I picked the phone up to go live. So I knew I was on to something there. And Mark had asked me one time, Linda, what are the deal breakers for you? And it really popped into my head today that for me, one of my deal breakers is communication. You can't communicate to me. You can't open up to me and be transparent and honest and fully with me. Then that, for myself, mind you, I'm not saying this is for all of you. For me, if you don't have communication, it causes a lot of miscreations. And I share that with you guys in my posts and stuff. And on the physical aspect of life, communication is necessary. And when you don't have it, there's a lot of assumptions. There's, you know, a lot of potential for miscommunication, which creates miscreations, if you will. So when you can identify what your deal breakers are, sweet ones, you are going to find, once you become aware of them, you can eliminate a lot of this stuff that's coming up and presenting itself much more gracefully and much more easier. And all those triggered emotions that are coming up from these past visits, if you will find that even though they are emotional, that once you identified that you need communicate, you know, whatever it may be. For me, you know, I'm one of these that I'm a very loving, touchy person. I'm a very affectionate person, even though I seem very cold on social media. In my personal relationships, anybody that has ever been in my physical presence can tell you I'm a very affectionate person. I'm a very loving person, and I'm one of these that hug people and touch their shoulders, or, well, I call you guys beautiful and sweethearts, and I'm the same way. Who you see on my videos is who I really am in person. I don't have a persona for social media. You know, I am who I am, and that doesn't change whether I'm in my own personal home, if I'm out in public, if I'm public speaking, if I'm on a video. What you see is what you get all the way around. I don't have to put on masks for people. I've transcended that. And so for me, I need, you know, if I look at myself, for me, I need communication. Without it, that's a deal breaker. A relationship, I don't care if it's a friendship, a romantic partnership, a partnership in a business, whatever. I need communication. For me, if there is not that free-flowing communication, that's a deal breaker for me. You know, I need somebody that can spend time with me and be affectionate, you know, where they can just reach out to me. I don't have to be me reaching out to them all the time, me being the first one to say good morning, me being the first one to say I love you, you know, me having to go up to them. For me, that's a deal breaker. It has to be a balance. You know, I need somebody, for me, again, I can't really say it's a need, but for me, I desire to have somebody that, you know, is not going to work 15 hours a day, that is actually going to be able to step away and have fun. You know, that's willing to, when they're stressed, you know, step back and go have fun. Somebody that's willing to laugh and willing to play, because if they're If they're all business and all stoic and don't know how to have fun, well, I'm going to be miserable. I'm going to be going out having fun by myself, so why be in a relationship? That's how my human thinks, if you will. So when you can identify your deal breakers on the human aspect and you can tie them into the spiritual aspect, that's heaven and earth. That's where you're coming into that full balance. And so when you can identify for you, for the masculine, really take the basics out of it, sweet ones. You know, you want your woman to be sexy and voluptuous, and you have this preference and you have that preference. But when you take that stuff away and you really get down to the nitty gritty on what would be the perfect thing for you, because happiness for you is not the same as happiness for me. You know, happiness for somebody in Australia might be traveling and photography. You know, so what's the deal breakers in that? When you can identify your passion and you can identify the deal breakers of how that passion will play into every aspect of your human life, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, physically, soulfully. When you can identify the deal breaker for you in every aspect of that way, that is where you build your ultimate love story and your ultimate dream life, if you will. So, as you go into this weekend, you're already going to start feeling it. Some of you, if you haven't already, you will. You don't have to wait till the total solar eclipse to feel the effects of its energies, if you will. And the closer we get to it, the more you're going to feel it. And again, when we go into that 90-second to 120-second totality of darkness, that's the reset, that's the reboot, that's where you're, whatever frequency you're at, that is what's going to be, look at it as a snapshot of a camera, and that imprints, and that's your new canvas, the foundation of it, that frequency. So, as this stuff comes up this weekend, and you are releasing that which is no longer of your highest good and the highest good of all, try and look at it through all lenses, guys, including that of what is it that your human aspect wants, not the collective. We already know what the collective wants. We already know all the inner work we do affects the collective outcome. We already know that our global unity meditations and global healing meditations for the collective, we already know the effect that that has on it, sweet ones. But if you are unclear with yourself, because so much of it has been focused on the collective energies, clearing the individual karma, but, you know, focusing more on a collective, changing the consciousness of the earth to live in the 5D grid. Now you're being asked to get crystal clear on what you individually want your new reality to look like. And everything that is coming up is pushing you to your deal breakers. And if you step back and you can observe, you will see where more and more of your true self is being shown through all of this. Aspects that you have not seen before, because that lens hasn't really been clear for you yet. Well, that lens has been added to your lens to view through, if you will, if you take advantage of it. Martika, even if we don't communicate, I'm sure he still loved me until now. His last return was this January, but circumstances can't really be helped. I must set him free and love him eternally, even if we can't be. And that's very accurate, Martika. But again, you keep making comments, Martika, of you hope this, you hope that. As long as you keep yourself in a space of waiting and stop. Clear, cancel, and delete that. As long as you keep yourself in a space of waiting, sweetheart, and you keep looking for someone or something in the outside world to save you from your own misery, Martika, you will stay in that space of misery. Everything that is coming up for you, Martika, is showing you to go within. To stop looking at the surface world as your problems and to blame for your problems. If you take the time, Martika, and go back and observe the comments that you write on my posts and on my videos, you will see where you will see a pattern there of your thought process. And beautiful, I really encourage you to go back and do that. Because in every single one of them, you sit there and you keep talking about, I'm hoping for a miracle. I'm waiting for a miracle. You are that miracle, Martika. And until you can stop blaming the outside world and waiting for the outside world to be your savior, and you take action to be your own savior, beautiful, you're going to stay in the same space that you're in. So, I encourage you to, again, step back from that emotional frame of mind you find yourself in, Martika, and that you keep speaking out to recreate it, and observe, go back and observe the comments from the past week on my posts and on my videos, or the past 2 weeks. Reread your comments, not necessarily everybody else, but your own individual personal comments. And you will find in every single one of them almost, you talk about, I'm hoping, I'm waiting. And if you can observe that from a detached emotional state, beautiful, you will find the answers that you are seeking. And it will benefit you to really observe that aspect of it, beautiful, because that's not something that me or anybody else can heal for you. That is a choice that you have to make individually, beautiful, to stop blaming the outside world, stop expecting the outside world to change your circumstances, and you have to find it within yourself to change your own circumstances, because you are your own savior, beautiful. And I say that with all the love and compassion in my heart. But I have been guiding you for a couple months now, and you're still in the same space, and I really don't know how else to show you to observe yourself. And maybe if you can go back and you can observe your comments and your statements that you post on my videos and on my posts, and actually see, since some of them have been written from a couple of weeks ago, maybe you will be able to see now where you're still in that space hoping for a savior outside of yourself. Because really, sweetheart, only you can change the circumstances you're in, even if they seem very hopeless. And I'm surprised you really read my comments and now being discussed. Yeah, it's sad. Why are you surprised? I answer almost every one of them. I read everything. And again, beautiful, I really encourage you to go back and to observe thyself and observe your comments. Because I cannot keep repeating myself to you and you just keep remaining in that same space. I'm not sure at this point what else I can do to guide you, except, again, I've guided you to learn how to deep breathe. I have guided you to take up meditation, and you come up with excuse after excuse after excuse, beautiful, and I can't take you out of that space. And I say that with all the compassion and love in my heart. Until you choose, Martika, and make that choice to love yourself, I cannot make it for you. And there's nobody else in the spiritual communities that can do that for you either. Beautiful. And maybe there is some, maybe somebody else listening on this video can assist me maybe with a different lens of observation for Martika. But at this point, I really, Martika, I love you. I just really don't know how else to. I have tried every avenue, every perspective I know how to get you to go within and to really observe your words, to observe your frame of mind. And I really am at a loss at this point on how to help you, how to guide you anymore. And again, sweet ones, observe thyself. Because all you are is love, sweet ones. And until you can find that love within yourself, you will not find it in the outside world, period. Not in your relationships, not in your circumstances, you will not find happiness and peace. And so again, on that note, big hugs, Martika. I'm here for you. I'm just really not sure how else I can assist you at this space. Beautiful. I really just am at a loss, because until you make the choice, there's nothing anybody can do to assist you. So back to what I was saying, sweet ones. Oh, honey, I don't blame myself at all. It's a choice with you, beautiful. And again, Martika, you are not alone, and we are here for you. Even if we cannot guide you, we will hold space for you. We will love you through this, and no, you're not alone. You do have us, but in order for us to assist you, you have to make that choice within. That's all I'm saying, beautiful. But we're here for you, and we're holding space, and we will love you, hold your hand, We'll be here for you, Martika. You're not alone. Just know that. So until, whatever you need, we will hold space, and we will send you as much love and healing energy as we can without interfering with your free will, sweetheart. Truly. You are loved, Martika. You are loved and honored and cherished more than what your human aspect can comprehend right now. And so, no, you're not alone, Martika. You are very much loved, beautiful. All right, let's go back. Let's go back and see what I meant here, or what I missed here. Intense today. How do I know what frequency? Rhonda, you guys, it doesn't matter what frequency you are on. That is outside of you. Well, it's within you. But it doesn't matter what frequency you're on. What matters is you do whatever you need to do in here to raise you to a space where it feels like you are in constant magic and constant bliss. And that's the frequency you want. It doesn't matter. You don't need a label or a definite, okay, you're on frequency 2, you're on frequency 10, she's on frequency 8. That don't matter. That's just your mind. That's just your ego trying to distract you from focusing on what's important. The reason I speak of frequencies is because it helps decode the layers within the layers within the layers within the layers. And again, it doesn't matter, sweet ones. That's just your mind trying to distract you from what's truly important. I speak of energy, vibration, and frequency because I'm an energy master, and I understand every underlying thing to anything in this physical plane begins with energy, frequency, and vibration. And, it's just, that's just how I operate. Where some of you operate from a more emotional side of things, I operate from, that's why people tell me I'm robotic. I operate from, numbers, codes, and frequencies and vibrations. I live, if you will, I see waves and tones and sounds and stuff. not everybody is. I'm gifted in that sense, even if I seem robotic. And actually, I take that as a compliment because that means I'm very neutral. So anyways, your frequency doesn't matter, sweet ones. Been telling people no lately, can feel their anger at me not moving to do for them, not sure what to do with this energy. What you do is you be grateful for it. What you do is you bless it and you love it. And the reason I say that is this. Again, everybody's playing a role for you, sweethearts. And it's okay. Remember, there's 7.8 billion souls on this earth. Less than 1 billion, and most of them are children, have chosen to awaken. That leaves 6.8 billion plus souls that are not awakening. So each of you are going to find yourself, because you're raising your frequency, because you're the pillar of light, because you're the pillar of peace, you are the pillar of love. Even if you're still raising your own frequency, dealing with your own BS and miscreations, whatever, however you want to label it, you're going to be in the midst of a whole lot of unawakened people for a purpose. Now, being in a group, whether that's your family, your friends, your coworkers, whatever it is, that are unawakened, because the majority are unawakened, and that's something that we just, it helps you with your mastery, if you will. Yes, they play a role for you. Yes, they're triggering stuff. Yes, they're there to trigger things. Yes, they're there to be a choice point option, if you will, if they're not triggering things, or even if they are. There's different aspects that you have to look at in order to get the whole picture. Just like religion, spirituality, science, quantum physics, numerology, astrology, astronomy, all of it ties in to give you a bigger picture of the whole expanded truth, if you will, of all that we are. You can't just take religion. You can't just take astrology. You can't just take numerology. You can't just take science. It's all interconnected. And until you're willing to allow all that interconnectedness, all those pieces to come together, you're never going to see the full truth. You're never going to see the full clarity. You're never going to see the expanded, simple consciousness of all. And so when you can allow yourself to expand your sight, your conscious sight, and simplify it, your mind will always make it more difficult. Your mind always has to keep adding shit onto it. And, well, this or this or this. No, love is simple. Straight up, love is. Well, if love is, what about this? This doesn't seem very loving. That's your mind. Your mind trying to attach reason, trying to attach logic to something that cannot be put in the box of logic. It just cannot. You know, and this is a perfect example in our governments and everything else. Yes, humanity has been enslaved, but sooner or later, the box has to disintegrate. Even a wooden box, sweet ones, it may take 5,000 years, but sooner or later, it's going to start breaking down. Whether it's a cardboard box, whether it's a spirit box, whether energy flows, nothing ever stays the same. It will decompose in one way or another. It will be decomposed, dissolved, deconstruct, whatever it is. So, when you can allow that to take place and you can observe it, you're going to find when you can take all those spider legs off, if you will, those ripples, and take it all back to simplicity, you're going to find things will go more graceful and more gentle and with greater ease. The human mind has to keep adding layers upon layers upon layers to everything because it's mechanical like that. It has to see from a very detailed, minute, intricate, tangible, And if it can't get tangible proof, it will keep adding logic and theory and everything else to it to make sense of that which you cannot make sense of. And that's why I say love is very simple. And when you take away all of that is trying to make sense as to why the physical eyes seen the impossible. You know, he walked on water. That is not logical. That cannot happen. That is not true. Well, I know I've seen a UFO. Every space in my spirit tells me that's a starship. But the logical mind says they don't exist because that's the AI. As long as it is not tangible, your mind, your egoic mind, your AI, your mother, the old motherboard, is going to do everything in its power to convince you it is not true. Because it cannot apply logical, tangible proof to it. Does that make sense? So when you can simplify it, when you can, and that's why, again, I have to look at it from this aspect too, detach the emotions. Because the emotions have to wrap logic around your heart. And your heart, the mind will never be able to wrap logic around the heart. Never. Because it is your heart that gave your mind life. And I hope that makes sense. All right, let me catch up here. When you write it down, you can answer it yourself. Absolutely. Okay, I'm way behind, I think, here. Energy body work can help her. Tapping the emotional code. Oh, somebody suggests tapping to her. Martika, that's actually a good one. I hadn't thought about that. Absolutely. You may want to Google that. Research that, Martika. Or have somebody that actually does, that is really into doing tapping right now. You see me, I'm always tapping my heart right here. Well, that's the only tapping I really do, is right here. But that's actually good. Somebody that can help her with that, I ask and encourage you to please reach out to her, please. When you hold on to something not meant for you, you hold yourself back from all love. Absolutely. Martika, it's also helpful if you allow yourself to let go of the labels and the definition of blame and fault, sweetheart. How you all doing? Who's joined us? Let me see. I'm trying to catch up here. Feeling the love today. Thank you for sending your love, people. I'm still surprised being talked about here now suddenly after posting my own thoughts about the earlier topic about relationship and communication. Sometimes, Martika, I don't get to, my phone don't, if you guys, a whole bunch of you post comments at one time, my phone only shows me one or two until they're all uploaded, and it's not until I go back and listen, because trust me, I listen to my own videos, because that's where my conscious and my spirit come into tandem. So I always listen to myself. That's why I tell you guys, I'm not out, when I say you, I'm saying all of us, because even I listen to my spirit. I go back and hear what I tell you guys, what my spirit's pumping through me, that maybe I've missed something. So I do listen to myself, and I go back and I do read all the comments. I don't like them just to like them. I actually read them and try to answer as many of them as I can if they require an answer. Lillian, I've wondered, the 8 billion people on the planet now, are these the number of people, souls that have gone before us since, let's say, Adam and Eve present on the earth today? It's really helpful to understand Adam and Eve were not beings. Adam and Eve represent, it's an allegory and it's a parable. Adam is talking about the atoms in the cells. That's who Adam is, as far as Adam and Eve go. And again, I'm not going to get into that aspect. You guys want to research that, feel free. Go within for that validation. And if you need the research or whatever, your spirit, if you go within and validate that Adam and Eve were really not beings, that they're allegories and parable, and they actually represent the Adam in your body and whatnot, your spirit will guide you to the information that you need on that. It's also helpful to understand that, All 8 billion souls are aspects of self. Some of them are just fillers, if you will. You have soulless beings included in that 7.8 billion souls on this earth that exist. And, you know, it's those soulless beings that cannot go onto the new earth either. And so they will fall away. So, Lillian, that's a very in-depth question that I would really encourage you to really take some time and really connect with your spirit, because that's one of those questions that you're asking me to give a simplified answer to that has too many aspects to have a simple answer. You're asking me, remember when I said earlier, when you talk to spirit, you have to be crystal clear on what you want answers to. Because if you're asked for, I need something to explain this wholeness, well, there's a lot of aspects that make up that wholeness, if you will. So until you can get a little more crystal clear on exactly what you're wanting an answer for, I can't give you the answer you're seeking on that. Does that make sense to you? There's too many aspects that I would have to go into that would take hours, which a video is not going to let me have, in order to make that question, which is a huge, there's just too much, you know. Again, I would really sit with yourself on that one, Lillian. Debbie, my mind is stubborn. Well, the more you speak it beautiful, the more stubborn it's going to become. So, if your mind is stubborn, I would really encourage you to quiet it and look at those traits, idiosyncrasies that keep you trapped in stubbornness. Let's see here. Penelope Ryder, not sure if her last name, Todd Medina, shares her post. Martika. I'm not familiar with Penelope Ryder, and me and Mr. Medina love each other from afar. What must I search again, madam? Pardon me. Tapping. EFT tapping. Phoenix, Adam Cadmon. I couldn't thank you, Phoenix. That's Lillian, that's Adam Cadmon. Research that, you'll know. I know just since beginning of mankind. It's really helpful to understand, sweet ones, you guys are from the future. You have come back to witness your spiritual childhood, if you will, and neutralize those and harmonize those miscreations from your childhood, spiritual childhood, even if you are not aware that that is what is taking place. Just like, you know, I'm very open about the fact I say that I'm from 175 million years in the future. And I've come back to assist humanity. Again, you can come into that clarity, you can come into that knowing. Just keep talking to yourself. Before you go to bed, mighty I am present, self, Lord, team, reveal myself to myself. Martika, it would be very beneficial for you before you go to bed at night, what some people call prayer, I call communicating with self. Ask yourself to reveal to you whatever it is you want revealed. You know, whatever answer and clarity you want for yourself. And it's all, you know, the more you ask yourself, the more you will find that what you ask for before you go to bed, you will be given symbols and messages and signs, however it will come, and the clarity the next day, whether that's through a post, whether that's being drawn to somebody's video, whether you see a number message, whatever it may be, or you hear words from a song that stand out. What you ask for the night before will be given to you. And when you ask to have it given to you with clarity that you, your individual self, as the human aspect, can grasp and comprehend. And that's very helpful for you, and you will find it will be revealed to you the next day. So Eve would be from evening. Well, no, Eve represents the chi, the holy, you know, your breath, really. Lemuria from the future. It's really helpful that this total solar eclipse, sweet ones, is all of those ancient memories, all of those. Again, I have said this. I've said this so many times that everything from the 3D grid, all of the teachings, all of those memories, all of those experiences are being brought back to 0 point because you will no longer have them. If you observe your journeys, if you observe your life, you will find that when you have healed something, for the most part, you may remember an aspect of the memory, but you're not going to remember the details or anything because you have 0 pointed it. And there's going to be a lot of memories you're just not going to remember anymore because you've dealt with it. You've collapsed that timeline. You've collapsed that. You've returned it to 0 point. And you're going to find when we go through this total solar eclipse, it's a reset. It's a reboot. It's new. And again, you don't need any of the memories. You don't need any of the experiences. You don't need any of the teachings. Anything that was created or participated in or anything in the 3D grid is being returned to no more. And that means the memories. That means all of that. Lemuria, Atlantis, the Pleiadians, those stargates, all of those are going to be closed for good. And the more you can release of it, the better. Because it's done. It's no more. The 3D grid is no more for those of you who have chosen to awaken. All the memories, all the mystery teachings, all of that. Everything that you need will be held within your heart. You don't need the memories anymore. You hold the wisdom and the knowledge of those experiences. You don't need the baggage of them anymore. And it's all going to be shut down and severed through this reboot and this reset. I hope that makes sense. Alright, somebody said something about rejection. I'm not sure what they're referring to. Yes, man, I'm sorry. I don't know why I still can't lit the candle for 15 minutes to start with. It's like I'm being blocked to do it. That's because you're blocking yourself from doing it, Martika. If you cannot meditate, and what she's referring to is I encouraged Martika, because she couldn't meditate, I encouraged her to light a flame on a candle. And to stare into the flame of the candle and all the thoughts that would come up, just to push them away until she could sit there for 5 minutes and work herself up to 15 minutes of just no thoughts, just a quiet mind. Trying to get her into the space of knowing how to quiet her mind. And that is what she's referring to on that comment, sweethearts, for you, those of you who don't know what she's speaking of. And you just have to light the candle and just stare into it, Martika. And every time thoughts start bombarding it, push them away and just focus on deep breathing and staring at the flame of the candle and allow no thoughts to come into your mind. That is how you train your mind to go quiet, to go still. And until you can master that, sweet one, you're not going to be able to hear your spirit and its guidance and what it's guiding you to do. And keep practicing. You're not going to... It took me over a month to do it, Martika. But I didn't give up. I kept practicing at it. And sure, the first time it was only a couple of minutes, but then the more I did it, the more I could extend it to 5 minutes, to 10 minutes, to 15 minutes. And now I can go into meditation for hours. And I can actually don't even have to stare at the flame of a candle, although I do choose to many times. Candlelight is my lover. And fire is my lover. It just is what it is. I don't get burned in fire. I love to play in it. I don't get burned. But now I can go into traditional meditation, and I can be in it for hours. And I have risen myself, evolved myself to the point I do not have to go into any type of meditation to hear my spirit. I have fully merged with it. And I can hear my spirit at every given moment. You guys hear me talk, I can talk to different aspects and get an immediate answer. You will eventually get to that space. It's a discipline, and you have to learn to discipline yourself to be quiet, to hear. Is Lemuria and Nibiru the same? No. Nibiru is a code. Nibiru, it's an activation code returning you to the original template of yourself. And, maybe I didn't quite say that exactly right, and people will dispute that. But the underlying foundation is it's an activation code of your true self. Nibiru. It has been distorted to believe that it is a destroyer planet, and Planet X and Nibiru are not the same thing. Again, sweet ones, the truth is always distorted, because if you know the full truth, then it screws with the AI. It screws with the enslavement that you've been enslaved in. Again, Magenta Pixie has a video she put out yesterday, I believe, or the day before, talking about the difference between Nibiru and Planet X. I encourage you guys to go on YouTube and to listen to it. I shared it on my wall a couple days ago. And the reason I don't usually share stuff like that, or I've gotten out of the habit of sharing stuff like that. And the reason I did is because it's very accurate. And, I connect with, just as I do with the Arcturians, the Centaurians, Syrians, Lyrians, Andromedan, Arcturians. I connect with all of them. But I also connect with the Nibirubians. And it's really helpful that Planet X and Nibiru are not the same thing, even though it has been put out that it is. Let's see. I hope you do a topic about Lillian's concern with more elaboration. If it can't be this time, the next team. Well, Martika, I can tell you this, beautiful. You're not going to understand, or overstand what Lillian is asking until you can connect with your soul and your spirit. It will not make sense to you in any way, shape, or form. And again, on that topic, there's a lot of aspects. In the question she asked, there's a lot of aspects to that. There's Lemuria, there's Atlantis, there is, there's just a lot to it, and that's why I encouraged her to go in. It's not a specific topic she's asking me. She's asking me a collaboration of topics that equal up like a collective conscience, if you will. There's so much more to it. Your breathing, when you guys teeter, your breath is your greatest tool. And if you can stop when you get frustrated, if you start getting overwhelmed, if you're feeling a whole lot of negative energy come at you because this intense roller coaster ride, if you will, your breathing will center you and balance you, same as going out and earthing. Phoenix, Adam Cadmon is the highest frequency light body. Absolutely it is. And that is Adam. And Adam, that is the Adam that your body, that your Bibles and religious text talks about and convinces you as a person. Well, it is a person because it's us. But it's not an individual person. It's an allegory. It's a parable. But Phoenix is absolutely right. Yes, guys, she's right. I hope I do not draw much attention here, but just responding to what you have been stating. Martika, we're here for each other, Melissa, Facebook kicked me out. Now I have a clean slate. The removal of old Hob had to make a new account. Is this the energy? Yep, it's presenting itself in many ways. Beautiful. Beautiful. Something's familiar, so I keep repeating it to myself. Nibiru, yeah. And, yes, I misunderstood, thought also a place. And Excuse me. So really allow yourself, sweet ones, to take advantage of this weekend and what's presenting, and really expand your vision into simplicity, and really see what it's showing you as far as your dream life that you're creating, that you're wanting to manifest on this new slate, if you will, and really identify your deal breakers, because that's going to be revealing a lot to you. And really, that's all I wanted to do was to present that aspect that Spirit had shown me to share with you. So I love you, sweet ones. Have a magical afternoon. Big, big, big hugs and blessings. And dance, sweet ones. Dance to this music. Because really, that's all you got to do is just really dance and focus on what you're painting on that new reality, and raise yourself to that frequency in your thoughts, in your energy, in the feeling of your heart, and maintain yourself there as we go into Monday, into this total eclipse and reboot and reset. I love you guys. Bye-bye now.